With Jimmy Carter, what you saw was what you got, a down-to-earth everyman, and in 1976, American voters said yes to it.
But
Author
all
and
of us
presidential historian
underestimated
Harold Holzer is head of
the
the Roosevelt
appeal
House of Public Policy
that
Institute
he
at
exerted,
Hunter
and that is
College.
after 8 years of Nixon and then Ford at the tail end of the Nixon administration, people just wanted literally a breath of fresh country air, and he provided that.
Born James Earl Carter on October 1st, 1924 in Plains, Georgia, Jimmy Carter came from a family of proud peanut farmers who were by all accounts a loving and respected Southern family. After graduating high school, Carter joined the U.S. Navy in 1946. This picture is from his graduation from the U.S. Naval Academy as he stands between the two most important women in his life, his new bride Rosalyn and his mother Lillian. Carter's road to public office included stops in the Georgia State Senate and then the governor's mansion before entering the presidential race in 1976. An unlikely candidate, Carter's folksy appeal and man-next-door charm appealed to voters, who elected him the nation's 39th president.
Carrying his own suit bags and all of the lack of pretensions, his loving marriage to this interesting woman. Don't forget his mother, Ms. Lillian, who was quite a character in her own right.
But Carter's time in office would see foreign policy wins like brokering the historic 1978 Camp David Accord between fierce political foes Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin and Egyptian President Anwar Sadat, which ended the war between the two countries. And foreign policy fails, like the ill-fated Iranian hostage crisis. Historians believe that, along with rising inflation and gas prices, contributed to Carter serving just one term in office. However, in his loss to Ronald Reagan, he unknowingly set a presidential standard.
The dignity that he demonstrated at the inauguration is really the model that's been followed, not by all, but by nearly all American presidents in handing over the reins of power with dignity, with recognition that the American people had made a different choice.
But Carter didn't lick his wounds. During his time out of office, both he and wife Rosalyn worked tirelessly for humanitarian causes, both stateside and internationally, most notably Habitat for Humanity and the Carter Center in Atlanta. President Jimmy Carter received the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002 and remained a visible, vocal advocate and champion for all Americans until his health started to decline. In the spring of 2023, Mr. Carter entered hospice care after a series of health battles. This includes treatment for skin cancer melanoma, which had spread to his brain and to his liver. And then in November of that year, former President Carter lost his best friend when former First Lady Rosalyn Carter passed away at age 96. Mr. Carter attended his wife's services, as did President Joe Biden, President Bill Clinton, and all 5 living First Ladies. Jimmy and Rosalyn Carter were married for 77 years. He didn't speak during his wife's funeral. Their daughter, Amy, read from a love letter the president wrote his wife back in 1948.
My darling, every time I have ever been away from you, I have been thrilled when I returned to discover just how wonderful you are.
He retained the same spirit, smile, and charm that carried him to the nation's highest position, right up until the very end.
He was out there on issues, on human rights issues, on homelessness and housing affordability, on equal rights, civil rights, voting rights. He was a presence. He was a conscience, getting along and being mutually supportive and knowing and understanding that individuals have obligations not only to themselves and their immediate families, but to larger communities, to lend a hand.
Antoine Lewis, Fox 5 News.